What up, fam? It's your boy DTLF back with another one. We got the breaking news just now, man. A trade that a lot of Warrior fans were expecting, maybe not waiting or hoping for, but Jonathan Kuminga has officially been traded from the Golden State Warriors. All right. The breaking news is the Golden State Warriors are trading Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis, y'all. And so we're talking about a 7-foot injury-prone big man who, of course, when he's healthy, floor spacer. But apparently, according to Shams, the Warriors had Porzingis as a target for the last couple of months, and they finally land the floor-spacing big man. But stuff is happening, y'all. Stuff is happening. This is all very interesting. What do you guys think of this trade? It seems like. Yeah, this seems like it's not gonna be like the Warriors not getting Giannis. All right, based on this trade right here, that means the Warriors are waving the white flag. Most likely, they're bowing out. Most likely, they're not getting Giannis. So that there's that. We have some clarity there. Kuminga finally gets the fresh start, right? Yeah, from Giannis to Porzingis. Yes, facts. I feel that. But I'm happy for Kuminga, man. I'm happy for Kuminga. I've been rooting for the kid to get traded. He was held hostage there by Steve Kerr and the Warriors. He finally gets a fresh shot with an actual team that knows how to develop young talent, the Atlanta Hawks. So good for him. He's going to fit right in with their young core. I think that's going to be awesome to see him develop and stick it to the Warriors' face. That'll be awesome, man. Let's see here. My guy said Golden State cannot get anybody that can shoot threes. It's a disgusting brand of basketball. I agree. My boy Diehard said, damn, is Giannis a lock for the Lakers or what? Well, I want to say for the Lakers, but that just means the Warriors are likely out of the sweepstakes for sure. Also, Golden State have traded center Trace Jackson-Davis to the Toronto Raptors for a 2026 second-round pick via, yeah, you heard it right, the Lakers. How the Warriors ended up with our pick, I have no clue. But somewhere along the way, we made a second-round pick there to the Warriors, and they have it. They're currently the owners of it. But this is insane trade deadline, guys. We're getting all the action right now, and hopefully while I'm on, we get another trade. But, I mean, like I said, very happy for Jonathan Kuminga. This is definitely the reset that this man needed. The Golden State Warriors, I'm very puzzled by I'm very, very puzzled by this acquisition, to be honest with y'all. Simply because they're getting older and they're getting more injury prone. You would think they would want to get younger. Instead, they traded a young piece that was supposed to have a bright future. We're talking about a lottery pick in Kuminga. For a guy in Porzingis that just been so injured the last 3 to 4 years, right? Matter of fact, since he left New York, he's been injury prone. So that is very puzzling of a trade for me personally. If I am a Warrior fan, I'm very concerned. Somebody said it, from Giannis to Kristaps is a major downgrade. And Kuminga joins Jalen Johnson as a duo, man. That's going to be interesting. Their athleticism is off the charts, man. They definitely posturing themselves up to to continue to build with the youth. And so, hey, Dan, do the Suns do anything? We haven't heard nothing about the Suns lately. They were active in trade talks earlier this week, but for whatever reason, we haven't heard nothing. They've been quiet, and I'm not sure how that front office likes to operate. Is there somebody that is leaking stuff, or do they work behind the scenes? I haven't really been paying attention to the Suns, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they have a pretty good roster this year. Dylan Brooks has made a maximum impact. Again, the Golden State Warriors. Okay, they need to match Kristaps Porzingis' $30.7 million salary since they're above the $195 million first apron. Kuminga and Buddy Hield combined accomplished that. Okay, so that is a steep price to pay, like I said, for an injury-prone player, man. And again, Trace Jackson-Davis, another young player, going to the Raptors. So again, the Warriors getting older and older. If you're a Warrior fan, I really want to know, like, what is your feel on this? Obviously, everybody and their mothers knew Kuminga had to get dealt, man. There was no way in heck that he could have stayed there, man. It would have been really bad for everybody involved. So again, I'm happy for Kuminga, and I hope that that he does develop the way he was supposed to in Golden State. They never gave him that opportunity. Is Pelinka still alive, man? Last I heard, they were active, but that doesn't always come to fruition, man. At the end of the day, there's a chance that they just don't do anything. Apparently, they prioritize cap space in 2026 summer, which is coming up. Let's see. I'll read a couple Warrior fans' reaction to this. Did the Warriors trade DeAndre? I'm saying Draymond? No, not yet. As of right now, no. He said, as a Warriors fan, I don't like this trade. I mean, it stinks. You guys are getting older by the minute. You know, you guys are the opposite of Benjamin Button. You guys are button up Benjamin. You're going backwards. So instead of getting younger, you're getting older. Porzingis, when healthy, is a very solid player. Trust me, he's so good. I've watched him for years play on the Knicks. You know, but when is he healthy, man? He's very unhealthy. So again, and to add to this report, the Bucks have informed the Warriors that they will not be accepting their offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, per Brett Siegel. So again, this was them bowing out and then pivoting away from any potential deal for Giannis. So Giannis not going to the Warriors, everybody. That I think is probably the best news of the night. Matter of fact, I think we're gonna have to go ahead and play the celebration. Let's go. I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that because that dude on the Warriors would have gave Steph Curry 3 years of extra life. All right. Well, the last thing we need is to see Curry running around for an extra 3 years. All right. I need this man to retire ASAP. Yesterday, pronto, por favor. All right. So let's get this man out of here. We don't need a 31-year-old Giannis extending his his lifespan in the NBA personally. So that is the best news, all right? And the Warriors officially out of the Giannis sweepstakes, which means we could either be closer to a Giannis trade or we could be further from a Giannis trade. And let me elaborate on what I mean on that. Closer if the Bucks are zeroing in on who they like, whether it's Miami, Minnesota, or somebody else, right? We could be further from a Giannis trade if this is only one of all the teams that they're about to inform that they're going to hold on to Giannis past the trade deadline, all right? Maybe the Bucks will underwhelm, but I doubt it. I'm still hoping to see what happens here at the deadline, but there's a chance that the Bucks don't trade Giannis and they hold on to him. Again, that's good. Apparently, according to multiple reports, that's good news for the Lakers if that does happen. If Giannis stands pat right now and goes nowhere, apparently that is great news for the Lakers. All right, that's just what the rumors say. On the other hand, like I said, this is about Kuminga right now. He's only 23 years of age, and he's had such a horrible run in Golden State. The 23-year-olds aren't supposed to demand trades, but that's how bad it's been. Steve Kerr buried him at the end of that bench. Completely buried that man at the end of the bench. So, it's crazy to see. And Jimmy Butler acquisition. I feel like his relationship and his role got worse right now. He signed a short-term 2-year, $46 to $48 million deal, right? With a team option for 2026-27. Again, he only started 13 games this season on the bench, a lot. So moving him definitely ends money drama and it frees up minutes and that's for the Warriors. On the other end, again, Porzingis is also on an expiring contract, y'all. Expiring $30.7 million deal, and he's going to hit free agency in the summer. So the Warriors can either resign him if he plays well or let him walk, and they can get some sort of flexibility. If they want to pursue like a LeBron James in the offseason or whatever, that's what they got to do. And my apologies if it's lagging, man. The only internet I have right now is a hotspot. And that's how I'm working right now because, again, brand new apartment, they have not installed the internet. So hopefully you guys can hear me properly. But again, this just got more intriguing. Again, it could mean that we're closer or further from a Giannis trade. Either one way or another, we're going to know at least by tomorrow afternoon for sure. All right. But yeah, if you're just tuning in, Warriors trade Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield to the Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. All right, very straight up front deal. Looks like a lot of people aren't happy with that if you're a Warriors fan. Let's see. Darius says, at least something is better than nothing, in my opinion. So you're okay with the Kristaps Porzingis acquisition? That's what you're saying? Okay, I respect it. And you know what? Anytime your team makes a trade, you're going to be excited because you're curious to see who's coming in and how he can contribute, right? But this is the start of a new era for the Warriors. They kind of went away from the youth movement. They think about this over the last couple of years. They've traded most of their youth away. Jonathan Kuminga is only the latest, right? They drafted improperly as well. I mean, that big man they drafted with the #2 overall pick over LaMelo Ball, huge miss. Now you lose Kuminga, who was, I think, the 7th overall pick in that draft, and Trace Jackson Davis, more youth going away, and you're getting older. You get Porzingis, who's injury prone, and you're lucky if he plays 10 games in a row. You're lucky at this point, right? So again, insane breaking news, man. I thought I'd go live for this one for sure. We've been talking on this channel about how we wanted Kuminga to get traded and get a fair chance to compete somewhere and play and develop, So yeah, but they go from Giannis to Porzingis, and the internet is undefeated. Are we getting Giannis? 9 lives? I have no clue, bro. But if the Lakers have a shot at it, we better hope he doesn't get traded at the deadline. Laker fans right now, if you want Giannis, hold your breath and hope that nothing happens at the deadline, because that's your best bet. Now, this is insane. Check this chart out. Let me see if I could share it with you guys. How in the heck are the Warriors like? You can't compete in the West with a team this old, y'all. Ain't no way. But this is what their projected starting lineup is looking like, chat. This is it right here. Let's pull it up right here for you guys. That's insane. That is insane. The Golden State Warriors are almost unrecognizable from where they were 2 years ago when they had Jordan Poole and the youth movement. They had Andrew Wiggins and all these young guys. And now, that's insane, y'all. I wouldn't feel good about this if I'm the Warriors. You got Al Horford, who's been not contributing much. He's older, right? Draymond, who's pretty much a shell of himself. You got Kristaps, who's you're lucky if he plays 25 games in a season. You got Curry, who there's going to be a lot of wear and tear if this is the roster they go into the playoffs with, if they even make the playoffs, right? The Golden State Warriors, I like that, bro. I like that. That's a W right there from my guy Maurice. The Golden State Warriors, man. That is just, I don't know, man. That team averages 33 years. 33 and up. That's just wow. We really are seeing the fall of the Golden State Warriors. That is insane, y'all. That is absolutely insane. All right, comments, questions, concerns. Let's see. Steph should ask for a trade. I said this a while back. Nobody believed me when I said it, but that team was trending downwards, man. I told you guys the last championship they'll win is the one they won against Boston. And the unction. Yeah, it's a retirement home at this point. And it's just weird that they're going in this direction when the Thunder are dominating, the Spurs are dominating, the younger teams are dominating. And even though the Lakers have some youth, we have struggled with even some of the younger teams. It's just nuts, man. But again, maybe they have a bigger plan to pursue somebody in the summer. Maybe LeBron James. Again, Porzingis is on an expiring $30 million deal as he hits free agency this summer. So that'll be interesting for sure. Buddy Hield was like a salary sweetener. He's a veteran shooter. It's going to open up the door for Porzingis without messing up the books if they want to re-sign him, right? But yeah, again, we're talking about the Hawks. On the Hawks side, they land a young, explosive scorer with real star potential. Kuminga is very athletic, guys. He can finish at the rim. He has shown big moments of scoring even in the playoffs last season. That was impressive. But he never got the consistent trust, in my opinion, from the coaching staff or the minutes, right? Atlanta could give him anywhere between 20 to 25, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on how well he plays, right away. And they can let him be featured as a piece alongside, the younger pieces they have there, right? And he's still under contract next year, too. So they have about a year and a half to evaluate his talent, right? And again, Buddy Hield adds a veteran three-point shooter. He's streaky, though. I've never been a huge fan of Buddy because he's very streaky. But again, Porzingis wasn't really doing nothing for the Hawks, so it was a good trade for them, in my opinion. If I have to rate this trade right now, I'm going to go ahead and give the Hawks a B+. All right, I don't want to go too crazy with these grades, but I'm going to give them a B+, and I'm going to give the Warriors, I'm going to give them a C- because I'm really confused. C for confused. And why they're going older instead of younger, it makes no sense. They're swimming against the current, yo. You're you're going to end up drowning at that point. Miami or Minnesota, what do you think? Man, I would love to see him in Miami simply because I want him in the East Coast, Dodger fan. However, if Giannis wants to get to Minnesota, he will. And from what I've been hearing, he would love to play alongside Ant. He feels like they can make a power dynamic duo, which I agree, especially if they're able to hold on somehow to Jaden McDaniels. So to answer your question, man, it would be scary if you add him to the West, man. We'd have to see that team 4 times a year with Giannis featured over there. So again, that to me is petrifying, man. We only see Giannis once or twice a year if he stays in the East, but if he comes to the West, man. Now, what shoe is going to drop next? Now that we know Golden State is out, Kuminga finally traded. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think is the next big name? You guys think it's John Moran or somebody else? So Jalen Johnson and Kuminga duo going to be insane. That team, the Atlanta Hawks are very interesting, yo. The Atlanta Hawks are very interesting. Let's pull up their roster right now. They're very interesting. They've been making some interesting moves since the offseason. And, that's a roster that is going to be intriguing for sure. It's going to be intriguing. So they got Dyson Daniels, who I'm a big fan of. Last year's #1 overall pick, Zachary Rezeshe. They got Onyeka Okongwu, who I'm also a big fan of. Jalen Johnson, who's the new star of that team. He reminds me a little bit of Josh Smith with more skill. They got shooters like Luke Kennard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Asa Newell. They just added CJ McCollum. That's a team that has some youth. They got Corey Crisper over there. Just added Jock Landale. And now you get this trade. Now you add Kuminga to the mix. You're talking about a core of Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, and Kuminga. With some pretty solid role players. So again, the East is wide open. I haven't really checked where they are at in the NBA standings, but if it's not good for this year, it'll be good for next year. But so far, guys, I gotta give it up for this trade deadline. It's been very entertaining, chat. This trade deadline has been extremely entertaining. And actually, the Hawks right now are fighting for a play-in spot. So maybe a trade like this could help them a little bit. They're 25-27 in the weak East. You never know; they might make the play-in tournament, maybe even make it sneak by into the playoffs. So it's a win for them. They have something to play for sure. And you don't ever want to be one of those fringe teams that's just like on the outside looking in. They're trying to make that leap and get better, right? But yeah, this is a very interesting trade. I think the Warriors lose this one, and I think the Hawks win this one for sure. Let's see what else happens, because again, the Utah Jazz will waive Lonzo Ball. There's going to be some buyout market candidates, and the NBA, the league, by around this time next week is going to be a lot of games are going to be very watchable, because we're all going to want to see how these new pieces are going to fit with their new teams. All right, comments, questions, concerns. Let's see. Dodger fan says, I'm a Suns fan, and only player I want to get at the deadline is Jalen Green back. Yeah, he's been injured all year, man. So you guys have been doing good this year. I can't stand the Suns personally, but you guys, I can't even lie. You guys have exceeded my expectations. At 31-20, you're 11 games over 500, man. You're right on our heels, and you don't even have Jalen Green. You haven't had him all season. So, yeah, you guys are definitely overachieving over there in the West Coast for sure. What are the Lakers doing, Dan? Any rumors? Well, last I heard, the Lakers were testing the market for some of the guys they have. They have expiring contracts. They have a first-round pick that I heard they're not willing to give up. So it's the Lakers are just trying to be poachers and opportunists, right? I think there's a better bet that the Lakers maybe end up getting one of these buyout candidates like DeMar or Mike Conley or somebody like that. I think that's your best bet. But again, you can never count Rob Pelinka out, because he is a quiet one. He moves in the shadows. He does. When you least expect it, he ends up landing a Luka Doncic or a Vando with a D'Lo, and Malik Beasley. Like those trades have been very sneaky when they've been done. So I never count out the Lakers. But for what I'm hearing right now, they are favoring flexibility for the 2026 offseason. That's what I'm hearing, right? That is what I'm hearing. Flexibility. I don't know if that means to try to trade for like a Giannis type player or what exactly that flexibility is. Chapito said, I want Lonzo on the Lakers. You know what, man? He's just been so injury prone, bro. I would have agreed with you, but his career has just been so down. And remember, a lot of people forget he had didn't he have I forgot what he had like knee surgery or something on both knees or something like that. So this dude he's a dead man walking, man. When we're talking about his basketball career, I wish him the best, but I think his best bet is to go and fulfill the final piece of his dream, which is playing alongside his little bro LaMelo. And too bad, LiAngelo's no longer a hooper, but that would have been entertaining to see, especially in Charlotte where they can afford to, to put together a fun little charade like that, because nobody cares. They're not really winning, although they've been kind of on a winning streak, but they're not really a winning team. Yeah, I think we can get the Greek freak. Anything's possible. Again, never count out the Lakers. Luka and Giannis have a great relationship, and anything's possible. But I think in order to get Giannis, we have to hope that Giannis doesn't get traded here at the deadline. That's your best bet to get him. Other than that, wherever he goes, he's going to sign that extension, and he's not going to want to lose money. So for sure, wherever he goes is somewhere, because the Bucks are working with Giannis. They're not going to trade him anywhere where he's not interested in re-signing an extension, right? This is why I think there's a 50-50 chance he gets traded from here till tomorrow's trade deadline. There's a 50-50. Okay. But yeah, Giannis is very interesting for sure. And we're going to see, I think he's the biggest domino that could fall at the trade deadline, or they could just hold on to that contract till the summer and try to, they could use it to kind of canvas the league to see what they can gauge, what type of value they can command maybe in the summer when more draft picks become available to more teams, including our Lakers. So I think that's what's happening right now. Precaution says, man, we need to try to give Bron one more chip with the Lakers before he retires. Go make some power moves by tomorrow. See, that's the problem, Precaution. The Lakers aren't thinking like that anymore. The Lakers are thinking we need to build a future around Luka. That's what they're thinking, whether we like it or not. Laker fans do not like to wait and see. Laker fans want now, now, now. We've always been like that, right? Nothing has changed. But I think it'll be worth the wait only if we land a big name like Giannis to go alongside Luka and Austin moving forward. That's it. Other than that, it won't be worth the wait. I would have much rather we try to get involved with the Timberwolves. Now, there's a high chance that the Timberwolves could end up landing Giannis right now. I think it's between the Heat, the Timberwolves. Who knows if there's a mystery team somewhere in between, or they're just going to sit on that contract and wait till the offseason. So I don't think there's too many options for the Bucks at this point. They kind of already wrote off the Warriors based on the reports that we just read, and yeah, so the Warriors turned around and traded for Kristaps. It must have been a Plan B trade that they had looming in the wings. That's what I think happened there. They turned around and traded for Kristaps. They said, better do something than nothing. Let's try to get Curry some sort of help since Kuminga's not playable. At least that's the way they think. So, yeah. Let's see. The biggest name is LeBron. He's leaving? This summer, the biggest name, if Giannis does not get traded, right now in the trade deadline, the biggest name is not going to be LeBron. That's going to be the biggest free agent. But in the summer is when the bigger trades happen, usually. So if Giannis doesn't get traded tonight at the trade deadline, Laker fans are going to hold their breath all summer long hoping for Giannis, because that's when it becomes real. And this kind of, what it kind of reminds me of? This reminds me, what was it, 2011, 2012, when we traded for Dwight Howard. There was so much skepticism that the Lakers could get it done. It was rumored that the Lakers would be willing to dangle Andrew Bynum to get this done, right? Where at the time, he was a young center that was starting to establish himself. Reminds me a little bit of Reeves. Different position, different player, but reminds me a little bit of like the prestige Reeves has right now, averaging over 25 points per game. And there's so many naysayers, man. I even made a bet. I said we would get Dwight. I won my bet, obviously, but it ended up happening in the summer. And, people were mad after it happened. People were angry, but, Dwight Howard for Andrew Bynum, and I don't remember what else was attached. It happened. And so sometimes people try to count out the Lakers, but the Lakers are always a threat, always. And just look at the history. And then when you have somebody like Mark Walter that's not a home run hitter, but a grand slam hitter, yes, it can be done. Now, am I going to hold my breath for it right now? No, because we can have our hearts broken and Giannis can get traded right now at the deadline, right now. And if I was one of these teams like Minnesota or Miami, I'm trying to get it done right now, for the simple fact that you eliminate a lot of the competition in the summer. This is your best bet and your best chance to get Giannis right now. So I'm sure they're putting all their chips to the center of the table. Mind you, Minnesota has been salary dumping, okay? They've been salary dumping. They got rid of that Mike Conley contract, and they've been calling teams to see if anybody's interested in like a Julius, a Naz Reid, maybe even a Jaden McDaniels to try to package more draft picks to send on a bigger package deal for Giannis. So they're trying to go all in right now. And apparently it sounds like to me either Milwaukee liked Minnesota's package or Miami's package better than Golden State's, and they called Golden State and they told them, okay, we're not doing your deal. Thank you guys so much for the offer. And that's why Golden State pivoted just now. Let's see. Gary says, if Giannis is traded, what's next for the Lakers? We don't know. If Giannis is traded, the Lakers can pivot and try to get involved in whatever the trade is and try to get a decent piece back. Let's use Jaden McDaniels, for example, right? I used the Draymond example earlier. That didn't happen. But Jaden McDaniels, if the Milwaukee Bucks prioritize draft picks more than players or expiring contracts or young pieces, then Jaden McDaniels might become a key piece to try to get some assets going in that direction, right? And so if the Lakers, they're willing to dangle their first-round pick and some expiring contracts to try to land Jaden, first-round pick a second, I think he'd be worth all of that. We're talking about one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league. Then I would do it, right? That's me personally putting on my Rob Pelinka thinking cap. I'm trying to get involved, even if Giannis ends up going to Minnesota. You can't, it's inevitable. Kind of like Thanos with the 5 rings. It's inevitable. If they want to get a deal done, they're going to figure out and try to wedge a third or even fourth team in there. So why not the Lakers benefit off of it if they can, right? To answer your question. Precaution says, but if the West is getting better, it'll be hard to build around Luka. Lakers are trying to replicate what the Mavs did. I think they should let Austin Reeves go and get a superstar 2-guard. You never let Austin Reeves go for free. That's a no-no. If you're going to trade him, trade him. But a player of that caliber, you don't just let him go. This would be worse than when we let Julius Randle walk, and then he ended up becoming a multi-time All-Star. This will be worse than that. So, yeah, no, I don't agree with letting him walk. Trading him, maybe. If you can have an upgrade, sure. If there's no upgrade to be had, I'm holding on. I'm signing this guy in the offseason for sure. You got to take the surefire bets right now. You got to take the, you got to take what you can get. Let's see. Brian says, Dan, can the Lakers even sign a bought-out player? I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe we have 14 players on the roster, and I think you can sign somebody to a prorated discount contract. Or maybe, the Lakers end up buying out somebody or trading away somebody just to make that happen. Maybe we attach a second-round pick to Gabe to see if somebody can absorb his salary. I mean, there's different avenues to try to add another player. And if they really want a player, let's just say DeMar becomes available and he mutually agrees with the Lakers would then turn around and try to figure it out before the deadline, for sure. But again, let's see. Things are going to get intriguing. Lakers are never out of it, but right now it's looking like they're prioritizing, like I said, salary cap. My guy said, Dan, would you rather stand pat or would you rather get more offensive one-way players? Neither. I'd rather get a defensive and offensive two-way players. I already mentioned Jaden McDaniels. Now, if we do end up staying pat, I'm only going to be okay with it, like I said, if we make that big splash in the summer. That's the only way I'm okay with it. Otherwise, I think me and everybody here, and a lot of people already here, they want Rob Pelinka's head on a stick. If Rob Pelinka punts this deadline away, then goes into the summer and ends up with some bullshit free agent, right? We end up with like something mediocre. Then I think everybody's going to be pissed because we just wasted another year of LeBron, of Luka, and even Austin. We can start talking about his prime. He just got into his prime. So that would be a wasted year. We don't want any wasted years. That could actually turn Luka off and he could end up walking when he becomes a free agent again, which I doubt because he'd be leaving a lot of money. But you never know. You can never be too safe. You want to show Luka that you consistently want to compete every single year. If that, right? If at that. Obviously, they don't want to show LeBron anything anymore, but at least show Luka and Reeves, who you're trying to sign this summer, that you're serious about competing for a title. A first round exit would be detrimental to all of that, right? Then you would really have to have a mega splash in the offseason, and we're talking Giannis level splash to show Luka that, hey, man, you should sign the 5-year deal after this one's done. Lakers are always on trial, man, always, no matter what. We can't just live off our history. We've only won one championship in the last 15 years, so there has to be some sort of sense of urgency. Even if it's Rob Pelinka's final year, he has to have a sense of urgency for sure, right? Somebody's got to pull up and do the right things. And I hope that Mark Walter brings the same schemes and strategies that he applies to the Dodgers, because then we'd really see a splash in the offseason if he has that killer in him. like he's shown us with the Dodgers, right? Let's see what Mark Walter's all about. But I think this trade deadline will tell us a lot. If the Lakers do nothing, then this was a gap year, because even if we get to the second or even third round, you see how tough the West is. All right, somebody's probably going to end up knocking us out as currently constructed with no additions. Now, I reserve the right to change my mind if we end up getting a big buyout candidate or somebody like that. That really helps us in the right direction. Like, we're not really far from becoming a true contender, but we're further than I initially thought when we started the year, for sure. And so we got to be smart about how we navigate. But I get that they're trying to be precautious, and they're not trying to blow away their cap space for like a RJ Hunter or something like that, right? I get that. But yeah, Pelinka's on trial here, guys. Pelinka is at the point, we're talking Game of Thrones. He's on that spot where they're about to chop off his head. He's right there right now, and he's pleading and he's begging right now for for another chance. So will the Lakers give him more chances, especially if he doesn't execute here? He might be the one that gets executed. So again, keep a close eye out on the trade deadline. I got you guys covered. If anything breaks that's worth reporting, just like the Kuminga news, turn on the post notifications. I will be live. Probably stay up late tonight just to see if any trades go through. All right. So keep it locked, guys. That is going to wrap it up for me for this little update video. But I appreciate you guys. Again, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you already haven't, post noti bells. And again, major shout out to the sponsorship, Prize Picks. You guys see the promo code on the screen. All right. Thank you, guys. Hopefully it's not a good night, because that means another trade happened. But I hope to see you guys soon. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys.